All right. Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. Thanks for joining me. We'll go ahead and get started here. If you got your questions, go ahead and post them. Should be below the video if you're on a smaller screen like a phone. If you're on a larger screen like a computer, it should be to the right of the video. All right. So we will start here with Jeff. M says, I seem to hit the ball more flush when I deliberately pause at the top of my backswing. Should I still work on making it one smooth motion? Sounds like you answered your question. If you flush it pausing at the top, then do that. The ball doesn't care if you pause or at the top or if you have a fluid swing. It only cares about how you present the club to it at impact. So if you hit the ball better pausing at the top, then do it. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing in the rules of golf that say that you can't pause at the top. It's a little bit unconventional, right? Most of the best players you see don't pause at the top, but there are players, high level players that pause at the top. Hideki Matsuyama, famous for pausing at the top. Cam, what's his last name? There's another. He won the Rookie of the Year a couple years ago. I think his name is Cam. I cannot remember his last name, but he has a pause at the top. So there's players, high level players that have pauses at the top. So if that's how you hit the ball the best, then by all means do that. Nothing wrong with that. For some reason, it's a little bit blurry. Let me actually. Probably the lens just needs a wipe. So I'll clean my glasses and then clean the lens as well with these lens wipes. Yes, keep the questions coming. It's the only one so far. Oh, now it cleared up. Maybe it was just my glasses being blurry that made it look, or my glasses being smudged that made it look like that. Cameron Young, nailed it. Yep, I knew it was Cameron something. I was thinking Cameron Smith, but I knew that wasn't it. Yeah, Cameron Young. Yeah, he pauses at the top, hits the ball flush, like what you're talking about. So yeah, absolutely nothing wrong with that. All right, so BJ says, Q, I have worked through the top speed courses. My launch monitor has impact vision, so I can see the club face at impact. I noticed that occasionally I hit thin shot, and when looking at impact vision, notice that my club face tends to be closing right at impact when this happens. Could this be due to an early release? My good shows show the club face squaring during right after impact. So if the face is closing right at impact, what's happening is you're hitting the ball off the heel. That's really what's happening. Because when you hit the ball off the heel, the face will twist closed. So it could also be a thin shot, but it could also not be a thin shot and just be a heel strike. Not necessarily caused by an early release. What I would recommend doing is work on some strike location training, get a better awareness of hitting the ball in the middle of the face. Some simple drills that you can do. One that you can do is where you line up to the ball the same way every single time, right? So if you line the ball up in the middle of the face on all your shots, that's how you're going to line it up on this drill. So you're going to have 3 tasks. One task is going to be to hit it in the middle of the face. One task is going to be to hit it on the heel intentionally. And one task is going to be to hit it on the toe. You're going to use a concept that is called win, pass, lose, stay. What this means is if you are successful with the task, you win, then you pass and you move on to the next task. If you're unsuccessful, meaning you lose, then you stay, you repeat the task. So win, pass, lose, stay. So you have to have intention with the shot. So you can't just hit the shot and then you hit it off the heel and count it as a heel strike. You have to have intention. So if you're intending to hit in the middle of the face, hit it off the heel, that would count as failure right? And then you would repeat the task. So again, what you do, maybe you start out with a center face strike, and I would declare what you would, call a center face strike as successful, because I wouldn't say at a level one, I wouldn't say that a dead center strike would have to count as successful, right? So for level one, I would say anywhere where the strike is within a half inch of the center of the face. And you're talking about this swing vision thing. I don't know how well you can kind of see where the contact is on the face, but I would recommend using foot powder spray. This is Dr. Scholl's. This is the what we actually recommend as far as the brand. Yellow blue can. They just redesigned the can, so it looks a little bit different. You might have some older cans at whatever pharmacy you're at, but it's very similar to this. Dr. Scholl's Odor X. You just spray it on the club face, puts a nice little thin white film on the face. You hit the ball, then you can clearly see where you strike it on the face. You'll see the dimples on the face there. Another way that you can do it is with a dry erase marker. So you take like an Expo. The brand that we recommend is Expo. I think that's the best, or one of the better brands out there and readily available. So Expo dry erase marker, dark colors, so like black, blue, red. I mean, any color really works for the most part. And then bullet tip, if you can find it. It's okay if it's a chisel tip. A bullet tip kind of conforms more to the dimple better. So basically, you take your ball, fill up a dimple with some of that dry erase marker ink, and then you set up that dimple that's filled with ink to where it's facing the club face. So that way, when you hit the ball, that ink dot rubs off on the face and you see where you're striking it. Then you can just take a towel, wipe it right off. You can use like a Sharpie marker too, like a permanent marker, but it's just harder to get off the face. You got to put in a little bit of elbow grease with it. The dry erase, or you can even use washable markers like Crayola washable markers. To me, they're a little, they're not quite as good. So again, I like the dry erase Expo washable marker, or dry erase marker. So yeah, put that in there, and then you'll be able to clearly see where you're hitting on the face. So for a center face strike, what I would say is any strike where the center of the strike is within a half inch of the middle of the face. And what I always say, if you look at it and it's like, I don't know if that's a half inch. If it's borderline, don't give it to yourself. If it's borderline, it has to be obvious that it's within a half inch. So no getting out the tape measure. If you eyeball it and it's outside of a half inch, that's a failure. And if it's close, it's a failure. Don't give it to yourself, because then you're just kind of opening up a door. I always think you're kind of enabling yourself a little bit if you do that. So if it's not obvious, you just got to do it. You got to make it obvious, right? So within a half inch. And then for a toe strike, if you draw a line through the middle of the face, I would say anything that is on the toe side of the face, where the middle of the strike is on the toe side of the face. And then for a heel strike, anything where the majority of the strike is on the heel side of the face, right? So again, I'm going to set up to this, and let's say I'm saying, okay, I'm going to start out with the center face strike. It doesn't matter what order you go into. You just have to declare what you're doing, all right? You can't just hit the ball and then whatever the strike is, that counts as your first one. You have to declare what you're doing. So let's say first one, I'm going to go for the middle of the face, and let's say I hit it too much on the toe, all right? So I'm going to make an adjustment. I'm going to feel like I'm hitting it on the heel a bit more, try to change my intention to hitting it a little bit toward the heel to counteract that. Let's say I try another one. I overdo it. I'm on the heel. It's like, okay, I want to get a little bit more in between. Let's say the next one on the third rep, I get it, right? So now I'm just going to go to the heel or the toe. I'll just go to the toe. Let's say it takes me 2 tries to get that. And then I go to the heel, and it takes me 2 tries to get the heel strike, all right? So 3 for the center, 2 for the toe, 2 for the heel. That's a total of 7. Now that's my score. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep repeating this drill to try to get 3 out of 3. Once I'm able to get 3 out of 3, then I'm going to bump up to level 2. What I would say level 2 is I would, shrink the middle of the face a little bit. I would go to where it has to be within a 1/4 inch of the middle of the face. And then for the heel and the toe strikes, I would say it has to be on the heel and the toe side, but it has to be within a 1/2 inch of the middle of the face. So you can't just exaggerate and go way out here. You have to still get it kind of close to the middle of the face, but on the toe side, right? That's more difficult, right? So, you don't want to keep practicing things that are easy for you, right? Because if you get 3 out of 3 on that, that's easy. You keep practicing and you get 3 out of 3, you keep getting 3 out of 3. You're gonna keep improving a small amount, but generally you're gonna kind of plateau your improvement. You're not gonna get much better unless you continually make it more difficult. That's how you get better, right? So it's kind of like lifting weights, right? If I lift a weight that's very easy for me to lift and it doesn't really do much, right? If all I do is kind of if I'm working on my biceps, all I'm doing is lifting my phone, right? I'm probably not going to to make much progress. I need to add some weight if I really want to get stronger. And then I get stronger with that. That becomes easy. Then I add some more weight and I keep getting stronger. Same thing works. It works the same way for working on skills. If you want to improve your skills, you get to where a certain level is easy, and then you make it more difficult. You get to where that's easy, you make it more difficult. And you keep doing that until you're just at a high level of skill. That's how you work on skills. And you might be asking, why on earth would I try to hit the ball off the toe and off the heel? That doesn't, why would I want to do that? Well, they've done a lot of studies on this and stuff. And basically what they found is if we can go from one end of the spectrum to the other, it helps us to give you a better feel and awareness for where the middle ground is, right? So one such study was a free throw study, and they took the starting percentage, free throw percentage of all the participants in the study, and then they split them up into 2 groups, all right? And they had them practice. One group, the way that they practice is they just shot free throws, the same that they would in the game, over and over and over and over again. And then the second group, the other group, they practiced free throws, but they shot from different areas, right? So they shot from the normal place where you shoot a free throw. They shot from 3 feet to the right, 3 feet to the left, a little bit in front, a little bit behind, right? So they shot from all kinds of different areas around where they shot where they would normally shoot free throws from. They did the same amount of reps, right? So if you think about it, I don't know exactly the amount of reps they did. So let's say Group A, the first group, right, who shot from the same spot. Let's say they shot 100 free throws total. The other group shot 100 free throws total, but they had 5 different places that they shot from. So they shot 20 shots from those different areas, right? So after they practiced, they had them redo their do a test to kind of find what their free throw percentage was. And the first group improved. The one that shot from the same area, they improved, but on average, they improved by only 1%, right? The other group that shot from different areas, they improved a lot more. They actually improved by 11%, right? So they improved a lot more, much more, significantly more than the other group, because they got a better feel and awareness for the shot itself, right? So that's why it's good. The other thing is, some days we're going to go out and we're going to be off, right? We're going to be a little bit off with things. You might be hitting the ball off the heel, hitting it off the toe, chunking it, thin it, or whatever. And we need to have a way to adjust our field to get the desired result that you want. So if you practice hitting the ball off the heel, let's say you're hitting the ball off the toe today, right? But you've practiced shots where you hit the ball off the heel. Well, you know what it feels like. You can have confidence in knowing what it feels like and what you need to do to hit the ball off the heel. So you can try to do that, and it would likely, calibrate you to where you're hitting the ball in the middle of the face. Now, you're not going to have to do that forever. We're human. We're adaptable. Eventually, you're going to try to hit the ball on the heel, and you're actually going to hit the ball on the heel. But for now, since you're trying to hit the ball in the middle and you're hitting it in the toe, then you might want to feel like you're hitting the ball on the heel. Actually change your intention, hitting the ball on the heel, and you'll get that more in the center of the face instead of going all day just hitting, not solid shots all day off the toe. So that's why you want to do that. So that's one drill you can do. Another drill that you can do, it's a similar type drill, but it's just a little different. So basically what you would do is all of the strikes would be in the middle of the face, right? So for this drill, you're lining up to the ball differently every time, but you're trying to get the same result, right? So the first drill, you line up to the ball the same every time. The setup's the same every time, and you try to get a different result, right? Heel, toe, center. This one, you're going to line up to the ball differently every time, but you're going to try to get the same result, all center, right? So for a successful strike, the middle of the strike has to be within a ½ inch of the middle of the face for level 1, right? So what I would do, starting out, you're going to line up in the center, right? hit it, try to hit it in the center. Then you can, again, you obviously you're declaring it by how you're setting up, but then it doesn't matter what order you go in. Then you go to the toe or the heel, then you go to whatever one you didn't do. Count the total number of reps that it took you to do it. And then that's your score. Keep working at that level till you're able to get 3 out of 3. Once you're able to do that, make the what constitutes a successful strike smaller. So you started out 1/2 inch, so basically like an inch wide area. Shrink it down to 1/4 inch within the center. That's a 1/2 inch wide area, and go from there. And you get 3 out of 3 doing that. Shrink it even more. Keep shrinking it. Basically, keep shrinking it until if it's not dead center, it doesn't count, right? And I'm telling you, if you can do that drill where you can line up on the toe, on the heel, and in the center, and you get 3 out of 3, and all of those strikes are dead in the center, that is a high level of skill. But it takes time and reps to get up to that point. So if you want to gain a better feel for hitting in the middle of the face, that's what you should do. These are skill level type drills. I think a lot of people, and BJ, you might kind of be in this mindset that when they hit bad shots, they feel like it's the golf swing, right? But that's not always the case, right? Sometimes you get, golf is a game of precision. If you're a little bit off, if you hit the ball, an inch toward the toe, you're going to have a very different result, right? It's not like, so basically if your intention is the same on every swing, you're basically going to release the club on every swing. So release the club the same on every swing. So it's not like, on your shots where the face was nice and stable and you were hitting it in the center, you released it perfectly. And then the ones that you hit off the heel or the ones that you're hitting thin was a bad release. No, the release on all of those was likely almost identical to all the other ones. It's just that golf is a game of precision. And if you're a little bit off, right, then it makes a big difference, right? Same thing with the club face, right? If the club face is pointing Adam Young, if you're not familiar with Adam Young, he's an awesome golf instructor. Go check out his stuff. He's actually, I like his book a lot. This is the practice manual here. Great book. A lot of the stuff from the ball striking masterclass is very similar. It's really funny because when Clay was building the ball striking masterclass, Adam Young came out with this book basically right after Clay finished it. And then, I get the book and I'm reading the book and I knew what Clay was doing in the ball striking masterclass. I'm like, this is very similar stuff. A lot of the concepts and basically, Clay had read and studied all the stuff on motor learning and stuff, very similar to, I'm sure, what Adam Young did and stuff like that. So yeah, really, really good instructor, but it's not always about the golf swing, guys. It's not, there's a difference between technique and skill, right? Those are two different things. So technique is how you move, right? So that's the top speed golf system, right? That's how you release the club. That's all that. Skill is your ability to control the way that you move. And that's what the drill that I just went over, that's to help you with that. There's actually here, let me see if I can find that because I think I actually just sent it to a student. There's a cool video. Let me see if I can find it. I may have. All right, let me do a search. You guys check out this video. I'll find it for you and I'll post it in the chat. So Rory McIlroy. I just found it. I thought I searched that same thing. Oh, here it is. Yep. Okay. So I'm going to share. This is a video from Terry Rowles, another golf instructor. On his channel, he's got lots of tour player videos that he has taken, and this is one that he took of Rory. So I'll put this. I'm going to put this in the chat. All right, y'all. So check out, I just put a link to that video in the chat. Check it out. So basically, it's a video of Rory. I mean, you look at Rory's swing. I mean, look at it, and tell me if you're seeing anything mechanically wrong with this swing. I mean, I'm not seeing anything mechanically wrong with this swing. I think Rory has one of the best swings in the world, if not the best swing in the world, right? So if you watch it, he tops the ball in this. Now, what I will say is I'm pretty sure he topped the ball on purpose. I don't know the full story, but I think this was like a pro-am, and I think he was just kind of like playing around. Again, I could be butchering the story, but I think he was just kind of like playing around, and there was a group in front of him, and he acted like he was swinging, and he topped the ball. So that actually shows an amazing amount of skill to be able to, just because he literally just taps the ball and it kind of just rolls off the tee. The ball only rolls like 6 inches off the tee. But he literally just kind of tap, and it looks like he's swinging at full speed, and he just taps it. But if you look at that swing mechanically, I mean, he's doing everything great, right? Lots of great turn, lots of lag, great weight shift, releasing the club nicely. I'm sure he's shallowing out the club nicely. Everything looks fantastic, but he basically just raised his arc a little bit to where the bottom of the club just came in and just tapped the ball, right? Amazing amount of skill. So it just shows like you can have an amazing, beautiful, one of the best golf swings in the world, if not the best, and not hit the golf ball well, or dang near miss the golf ball. It's because golf is a game of precision. It's not, your technique isn't going to change tremendously from swing to swing if your intention is the same, right? So it's it's just not. It's usually not going to happen. So you need to work on skill as well, your ability to control the way that you move. And that's what the ball striking masterclass is. It's a skill. It's got drills like that I just showed you. So Charlie G says, "Hi Q, it's amazing to me to see how Justin Thomas lifts his trail foot off the ground before impact. Is he an extreme example of shifting weight onto the lead foot, or would you say all pros get that much weight off their trail foot before impact? For JT, it's more obvious. So most players, you're going to see that the heel is coming off the ground. It's just that Justin Thomas does it quite a bit sooner. That's a fairly unique thing, because usually when people do that, their hips are they're early extending typically, right? So if you're not familiar with what he's talking about, in Justin Thomas, when he's coming down, his heel really starts to come off the ground early as he's kind of rotating into the shot. And like I said, when most people do that, they're doing this, right? So their hips are but obviously Justin Thomas isn't doing that. He's not early extending a ton. That's something that's fairly unique in his swing. To be honest with you, trying to think. There's definitely no like high level, players that I know of that do that as well. There might be, some guys' swings that I haven't seen that maybe do that are playing pro. But to be honest with you, he's about the only one that I see that does that. But pretty much all tour players, you're going to see the heel when they're coming into impact. You're going to see the heel coming off the ground, right? It's usually going to be, an inch or two off the ground as they're coming into impact. And yes, that is a product of their unweighted, most of their weight, almost all of their weight's on that lead leg, and they're rotating. So basically the hip is kind of pulling the heel off the ground. So yeah, it is pretty interesting. I've definitely seen that before. So what I don't recommend trying to copy that, because like I said, most people who do that will early extend when they do that. I'm sure it's something that he probably doesn't like a ton, but it doesn't really cause any problems in his swing for him. So sometimes you just have stuff in your swing that you do, and it's your own kind of special sauce, your own kind of signature, and that's what's cool about golf. If you look at the number one player in the world, he doesn't have he has a unique golf swing, a pretty unique golf swing, right? So if you look at a lot of those players, John Rahm, he's former number one. He's up there. Um, you know, he's got a fairly unique swing. So it's really the ball doesn't care what your swing looks like. It just cares about how you present to it at impact. So working on skills and stuff is a lot of times what a lot of people need to do, and not so much like the YouTube tips and the random YouTube tip that they decide to go on, because I think that's how a lot of people practice. They watch a YouTube video, like, I'm going to go to the range, I'm going to try that. And then they try it and it's like, it doesn't work, I'll try the next one. Right. It's not and then those people tend to not improve very much. And if that's what you like to do, and that's fun, and your goal isn't necessarily to get better, you just want to try new tips, and you don't really want to do the work to really get a lot better, then that's fine. You can totally do that. But if your goal is to get better, then I don't really recommend that. That's not. If your goal is to get better, I'd recommend working with a coach, doing online lessons or in-person lessons, something like that. Get some sort of plan to go out there, a skill level type plan, do the ball striking masterclass. Those are all things, that I would recommend if you're looking to get better. Cool thing about the ball striking masterclass is it has a guarantee on it. So if you go through the course, you do all the drills, and you show your workbooks, and you show, hey, I didn't improve through this course, we'll give you your money back. Top Speed Golf will give you your money back. So I don't know when we'll be offering. I think we just did a campaign for the ball striking masterclass last week, I think, or the week before that. So I don't know when we'll be offering it again. But yeah, be on the lookout in your email for whenever we offer it in the future. All right, plenty of time left here. We got 30 minutes or so left. We got any more questions? If not, no worries at all. BJ says, Q, thanks so much. Your advice is much appreciated. No problem, BJ. Glad to help. Yeah, if we got more questions, feel free to post them. If not, I'm just going to be kind of answering some emails that I got. So if you guys have questions, I'll definitely pause that and answer your questions. That's what I'm here for. But if we don't have any questions, then I'll go ahead and knock out some of these emails that I've got. Can you guys still see and hear me? My email is telling me that I'm disconnected, but my looks like I'm connected to the Wi-Fi. Maybe it's a Google thing. It's not working for some reason. Hmm. If you're on here, can you please in the chat just let me know if you can see and hear me? All right, cool. Thanks, Charlie. Just wanted to make sure. All right, so we got a question from Nigel. Says, I'm getting conflicting advice on what causes different ball flights. My understanding is that the ball that starts on target and then fades slices right is caused by a face square to the target with a right to left path, and a straight pull heading left is caused by a face square to the path and a right to left path. Assume center face contact. Can you please confirm? Yes. So you are correct in that. So the ball, let's just do a quick kind of simple ball flight laws lesson here. So the ball is going to start mostly in the direction of the club face. It's not entirely in the direction of the club face, but mostly in the direction of the club face. So it's going to be usually somewhere between 75 to 85% in the direction of the club face is where the ball is going to start. So if I put this alignment stick down, let's say this alignment stick represents the target line, right? So in order for a ball to fade, the club face just needs to be open to the club path, right? So what that means is the direction the club face is pointing at impact is open to the direction the club head is kind of moving through impact. So in your first example, you're talking about a ball that starts straight and then slices to the right. Well, that would be caused by a club face that is mostly square at impact, but then the club path is out to in. The ball's going to start mostly in the direction of the club face and then curve away from the path. So if my face is square at impact and my path is out to in, then my ball will start relatively straight and then curve away from the path. My path was moving to the left, so my ball would curve to the right. So, if a ball starts left and then fades, right, that just means that my face is closed to the target but open to the path, right? And my path is more left than my club face because my face is open to the path, which makes it slice, right? So the farther apart your face and your path are, the more curve you're going to have on the ball, right? The closer they are together, the less curve you're going to have on the ball. So I think you talked about a pull in your question. If my path is out to in, right, and then my club face is pointing in the same direction as my path. So if we want to put numbers on it, let's say that my club path is moving 5 degrees out to in, and then my face is also 5 degrees closed. Well, that's going to produce a 5-degree pull. A ball that just starts left and then just kind of goes straight left. Now, obviously, there's some elements that can have an effect on the ball, like wind, or a tree or something like that. But that ball is going to start left and kind of go relatively straight, assuming no other nothing else is acting on it. Now, as you mentioned, which is a very key point, assuming center contact. If you don't hit it in the middle of the face, this changes, kind of throws a wrench into things a little bit. So when you hit the ball on the toe, the face will twist open and the ball will start more to the right than it normally would. Doesn't mean it's going to start to the right, just means it'll start more to the right than it normally would. So if my face is very closed at impact and I hit it off the toe and that face twists open a little bit, it may still start left, right? And it will also tend to draw more or fade less due to something called gear effect. We don't need to get into that, but that's part of what happens there. And then for a heel strike, it's just the opposite. The face will twist closed a little bit. That ball will start more to the left than it normally would, and it will tend to fade more or draw less than it normally would. All right, so that's kind of just like basic ball flight laws. And there's actually a really cool way. It really wasn't that long ago that a lot of people in the instruction community, before we got TrackMans and were able to really see the physics and everything that was going on, that people believe that the ball started in the direction of the club path. But it's just not the case. And you can kind of do a little experiment to see this. So I'll put this club away, and you can do this experiment with a putter so you can kind of see it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up, and I'm going to do my best to have this putter face pointed straight at the hole here, right? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to swing this putter basically, as much toward this wall as I possibly can, right? So when I do that, and I'm going to keep that face pointing at that putter. So if I do that, you can see how that went mostly in the direction of that hole, even though I was swinging this putter toward the outlet over here, right? I was like that toward the outlet. Now it had slice spin on it, right? It was you could kind of see, on that ball, it's fairly easy to see that it was kind of trying to spin that way. And you can see how it didn't go directly at the hole. It kind of went to outside. That's what I'm saying. It's not entirely in the direction of the face, but it's mostly. For simplicity, it's usually easier to think, okay, the ball is starting in the direction of the club face. So yeah, just a little ball flight laws. So if you're ever wondering, kind of what's happening at impact when you hit a shot, right? Sometimes, generally if the ball is curving too much, then we have to get the club face more in line with the path. It's a pretty easy way to think about it. The ball is curving too much, then we need to get the ball in line with the path. So if you're hitting a big slice and you want to hit it straighter, you need to get the face more closed because the face is too open to your path, right? Now, if you are getting the amount of curve that you want, and you are also getting it to curve in the direction that you want, but the ball is still not going in the direction that you want. So let's say you're trying to hit a little baby draw that starts a little bit right of the target, draws right onto the target, but then you hit a draw, but you pull it, right? So it's kind of a pull draw. You had the amount of curve that you wanted on it. It curved the amount that you wanted, but it was just too far left to begin with. Well, that you need to get your path more from the inside, so that way that in your face will go with the path, and that way you'll get the ball start to the right and curve to the left. So when you make that adjustment, yes, at impact the ball started in the direction of your face. Your face was too closed, but your face was in good alignment with your path. Typically, when you change your path, your face will stay pretty close to that same alignment. It's not like in that situation that your face would stay really close at impact and then your path would get way out to the right and now you're going to hit a big hook. That's not typically what's going to happen. Typically what's going to happen is if you hit that shot that is kind of just like a little bit of a pull draw, and on the next one you feel more of kind of an in to out kind of swing, usually your face and your path will have a very similar relationship because all you changed was just the path. The face is going to stay the same relative to the path, and then hopefully you'll get the nice little baby draw that starts to the right of the target and then draws toward the target. All right. So Charlie G says, when I try to swing hard, especially with the driver, I know that I swing too hard early in the downswing. Can you please suggest a drill to ensure that I reach max acceleration at the right time? What I would recommend doing if you're looking to increase your distance, I would recommend the 20-minute distance fix. And a really awesome drill from that 20-minute distance fix is the half backswing full follow through drill. That's a really, really good drill to help you to get that speed at the ball and not burn it up too early before in the swing. There's also another great drill in there that's called the boomerang drill, which is kind of a lag drill that helps you to get the club lagging, and then we want to release that lag to get speed. That's another great drill in there. So those two drills from the 20-minute distance fix, along with a bunch of the other drills in the 20-minute distance fix to help you to get club head speed. We got the catapult drill. So that's really just getting a really big shoulder turn. We got the skyscraper drill, which is kind of getting your arms maybe a little bit more elevated if you kind of have a flatter swing. That can help you to, both of those drills help you to create a little bit more space to create speed. Another good drill that if this is a problem in your swing would be the sumo step drill. So a lot of times people burn up their speed because they're not transferring their weight. So they're on their back foot, and then from their back foot, they can't really, they have to kind of throw out the arms and everything early. So that could also be part of the problem. So if you're kind of swinging off your back foot, that could be part of it too. So I definitely recommend the sumo step drill if that's something you're swinging. So if you see on video that you start your downswing with most of your pressure in that trail foot, and you don't see that you're moving into that lead foot, the sumo step drill is definitely something that you need to do. So definitely check out that if you're looking to get more club head speed, hit the ball farther, the 20-minute distance fix is the course for you. So to get to that course, all you have to do is click the instruction tab at the top of the screen, and that will take you to the 20-minute distance fix. If you see the instruction tab from the drop down, you'll see the 20-minute distance fix, and then you can select it from there. All right, we got a few minutes left here. No problem, Charlie. Glad to help. All right, so got a question here from Steve D. Says, Q, personally, do you look at the ball until contact is made? So me personally, yes, I do. And the majority, I would say probably the overwhelming majority of the best players typically do as well. So typically you're going to see they're pretty much locked in on that ball. And a lot of people ask, are you looking at a dimple on the ball? You're looking at the back of the ball? You're looking at in front of the ball? Really, I'm just looking at the general area of the ball. I'm not fixed in on some sort of area. I don't know if it's just with me, but I had heard a long time ago that you want to focus on the back of the ball, or if you're hitting a draw, you want to focus on a certain part of the ball or things like that. And whenever I do that, for some reason, it might just be I have this eye thing. My eyes kind of vibrate. I'll be looking at it and my eyes will just start kind of vibrating. So I don't do that. I don't try to zero in on like one little spot on the ball or anything like that. I'm just generally looking at the area of where the golf ball is, right? I'm looking at the ball, but I'm not like fixated on a spot on the ball, because I don't know what it is, but it messes me up. Some of you might be like that. And I'm not saying that you can't zero in on a spot on the ball, and that looking at the inside of the ball is a great thing to do when you're hitting a draw, and looking at the outside of the ball is a great thing to do when you're hitting a fade. I'm not saying that can't work for you. I'm just telling you what personally works for me. So for me, I look at the general area of the ball and I just stay kind of locked in on the ball, and I try to stay locked in through contact. And the big key here is, we've heard the term keep your head down. Well, I like that to a certain extent, but we also don't want to overdo that, right? So we don't want to make swings where we go like this, right? Where I'm so focused on keeping my head down that I don't come around. So what I use is I kind of use my trail shoulder coming through. I let my trail shoulder kind of come through and lift my head up out of the shot, right? And so I can come around into a nice full finish and keep my momentum going. So basically, and that's what you're going to see with most tour players. So what you're going to see, they're going to come down, they're going to get here, they're going to release the club, and typically in that release, that's when that shoulder is coming in, right? And then they come all the way around. But like I said, this is really to each their own kind of thing, because I have seen very high level players who don't even look at the ball at all, or don't look at the ball at least through contact. So go back on YouTube and look at old David Duval videos and look at him in slow motion. If you look at David Duval in slow motion, he looks like this, right? He's like that. So he's not looking at the golf ball. So you can hit. I mean, the guy is a former number one player in the world. I mean, he was a ball striker. I mean, he still is a great ball striker. But I'm telling you, like he was a fantastic ball striker. I mean, he was a number one player in the world at one time when Tiger was basically in his prime and killing everybody. So that's huge. So another player, number one player in the world for in women's golf, Annika Sorenstam. If you look at her swing, does the same thing. Basically, does almost identically the same thing. So it's just a key. You just kind of have to find out what works best for you. That's a lot of what this game is. There are certain things that you see all the best players do, and there are general guidelines. And I try to tell golfers what I think works pretty well, and I would just kind of use that as a guide. And if you have a different way of doing it and that works better than my way, I don't have any problem with that. I don't have any problem with that at all. I want you to play your best. So it's kind of like the question earlier. Somebody asked about, if I take a pause at the swing and then I absolutely flush it, should I try to work toward a more fluid swing? I mean, you're flushing it with a pausing swing. I would stick with the pause. There are great players that do that as well. It's a little bit unconventional, just like Annika and David Duval. I've also seen Dustin Johnson do it, not on all swings, but I've seen him do it before. So it can be effective, to do that. So it's really kind of a to each their own kind of thing. You kind of have to figure out your best way to do it. So what I tell people is just kind of play around, have fun with it. See what you can kind of find out and learn something. And usually that's for the best to do it that way anyway. All right, we'll go ahead and wrap it up right there. Let's make sure we don't have any outstanding questions here. We don't. Perfect. All right, so we'll go ahead and wrap it up right there. Thank you, everyone, for joining me. We'll be back here Monday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Everybody have a great weekend, and I will talk to you all next time.